Okay, we're rolling.
All right, this is an interview at the New York State Military Museum, Saratoga Springs, New York. It is the 19th of October, 2005, approximately 1 p.m. Interviewers are Wayne Clark and Mike Russert. Could you give me your full name, date of birth, and place of birth, please?
Lincoln James Orologio. Date of birth is 2/12/30. Place of birth is Delanson, New York. It's 15 miles west of Schenectady.
Okay. What was your educational background prior to entering the service?
Just regular school. I went to Burnt Hills High School.
Okay. Did you enlist or were you drafted?
No, I was enlisted through Saratoga County Selective Service. I was entered through Albany and then shipped to Fort Devens, Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm. Now, why did you, if you enlisted, why did you select the Army?
No, I didn't enlist.
Oh, you
I was drafted.
Drafted through the, okay.
But later on, I did enlist.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I don't know if you want me to go.
Sure.
Well, I was drafted, and we took our basic training in South Carolina. And Fort Jackson, infantry basic training. I went through 12 weeks of basic training, and then was sent to Fort Campbell, I believe it was, Kentucky, and had another 6 more weeks of basic training. And then returned to my unit, which was a National Guard, 31st Division, 200th Regiment. We were all, this was a National Guard from Alabama and Mississippi, and all our recruits that went down there were mostly from the north, and there was about, after a basic, we decided we were going to be shipped to Korea or Germany, and we got together and we re-enlisted for 3 years. So the combination while I was in there was 7 months plus 3 more years.
Oh, okay.
Now, in the meantime, everybody that re-enlisted was either sent to Korea or Japan or Germany. And I was one of the ones that got sent to Korea, which was, I believe, sometime in the end of January. We left Fort Dix. And I remember getting on the ship to go overseas. It was on my birthday, February 12, 1952. And we landed, or we went to Japan first, Camp Drake. Then was shipped out a week after to Incheon. And then we were trucked out from there to our basic line, main line of resistance, which was in the Kumwha Valley, Chen Chon Valley, and Cavalry Valley. And we replaced, I got attached to the 40th Division, and the 40th Division had just arrived there a month earlier and replaced the 24th Division up online.
Now, this was in the winter. What kind of gear did you have?
I had regulars, actually I had a summer sleeping bag. We never got to those. We never had the Mickey Mouse boots that come out, which everybody else had. We were just shipped over with our just combat boots, and mainly we wore our ODs, dress uniforms for our clothing, which they were wool, were warm, but I mean, here we wear in the States for dress-up uniform, and over there we fought with them. And then a month later, which was in March sometimes, we did get issued Parkers, which was very warm. And we never did see while I was there, I didn't see the Mickey Mouse boots, which were all insulated. By that time, you know, summer came and we lived with it. We froze our feet many a times. We watched. We were on patrol up on the main line of resistance in the foxholes and bunkers, which we lived in for 6 months. And we went on patrol nights with just field jackets, and it was pretty cold then too in the spring and the fall, the summer. And every time we'd go out and patrol, we just prayed that we got back safely.
Now, what kind of weapons did you carry?
I carried first of all, I've carried a M1, and then I had a BAR, automatic rifle, and then I was attached to the weapons company and had a machine gun. So I used them all.
Do you have a favorite?
Well, I enjoyed the machine gun because I had more protection with that. And most all of our patrols were at night. And,
was it a 30 caliber machine gun?
yeah. And we were, this is mostly all the summer, I was spring and summer that I was there, part of the fall. And every time we go on patrol, we usually go at night. And there's a lot of nights that were really scared and stuff like that, I admit that, but we pulled through and managed to do our job.
Now, did you engage Chinese or
North Koreans.
North Koreans?
Yeah. And, one company was sent out, and they told us, I've got it down in my records there, they were sent out with a baseball bat and shoelaces. I don't know what they were going to do with the shoelaces, but they were told to go out and capture a prisoner with no firing. Now, I don't know if they ever did or not, but it seems foolish. But, you know, the truce was being on, and there wasn't no battling every day. It was mostly concentrated at nights. And we'd go out to the outpost maybe a half a mile out or a mile out sometimes and set up. And, we would get the alert if they were out there, because they would have contact with us before they get back to the rest of the unit. So we'd be out there sometimes all night long, pouring rain, in the mud in the trenches, and sleeping standing up, and guarding the place at the same time. But there was usually always two people, two persons together. So if one did take a nap or something, the other guy would be awake. And even going back and forth, and every once in a while we'd be sent out for challenges. They would have their enemy out there. We would have to go down in the valleys and contact with them and see if we could get prisoners or whatever. We brought back a few dead ones, but no prisoners. So well, that's the way it was. And then after this, the way it consists of over there too, you have 3 regiments. 2 regiments would be up on line, 1 regiment would be in reserve. And we just switched around. So you did get a little easy life when you were back, got some rest and sleep whenever you could. But, and then it worked the same with the battalions. You get 2 battalions up on line. And the companies always went out. Sometimes 2 or 3 companies went out at the same time, or 2 or 3 squads went out at the same time. It depends on the situation. So we had our ups and we had our downs, and the meals were really good. They would, from the back, the rear, of course we were up on hills all the time. You go back in the valley where they cooked and all that, and they would bring our food sometimes up to us, or if we had a break or something, we would rotate and go back down in reserve there and have our meal and go back up. And it would be so wet and sloppy, and trying to climb those hills. I've rolled and fell quite a few times. And it's nothing like mud over Korea, that's for sure. During the truce, they were trying to, come together and get the war over with, but it just took that long. And the longer it took, the more action we would have against the Koreans.
Did you ever, what did you think of the South Korean units? Did you ever have any of them in your locality?
Yes. We had, I don't know if you want to bring this up, but when we got in Korea, we had the colored, they would stick 3 colored people in our squad, 3 ROK soldiers, which are South Korean soldiers, in our squad. And once in a while you'd have another foreign soldier in the squad. So it was broken down, so every company or every squad, so on, had
a mix.
Yeah, right, had a mix. So, and then they were used. The ROK division. We had one ROK division next to us, but I guess they had more action than we did. They would go right out there in battle. Mm-hmm. And they would contact with the enemy every night and just shoot back and forth and see what was going on. But I think they had more pressure against them than we did. The North and the South never liked each other, you know that.
Now, did you, what was it like? I know the Army had just integrated between yourselves and the black troops that were, the soldiers that were in with you. Were there any problems or?
No, there was not in my unit or our unit. We always got along good. The reason, I guess, why they done that is because instead of, I think at one time they did have a colored regiment, and they broke them up so they would put them individual with the other units. Everything seemed to work out better that way, I thought. Now, when after I left the line, Korea, I was picked out. I don't know how this was. We were all individual as far as I know, but somebody said the whole unit went over there. Now, I don't know if it was a battalion or a regiment or what, but I was picked out because I had half of my points already served, and you had to accumulate 38 points to rotate. So I had about, I don't know, a little more than half, almost 20 points. And they took us and sent us to Koji Island to guard the prisoners of war, North Koreans and the Chinese. And I was there about 2 months. And that's when they captured that general. And we went down to break the prisoners up because they were rallying around and doing a lot of harm. So we got down there and we guarded them. We had to go through their tents every day, 3 times a day. Squad at a time would go through and search the tents because they were making bombs out of sulfur match heads, and they were accumulating tinfoil, stuff like that. We had to go around and they would find pieces of metal for knives and whatever they get their hands on, they would, try to keep. Mm-hmm. And so we went down there and went through the tents. The rest of the squadron would be there around guarding while the squad leader would go around and check in everyone individual. And just carried on. And then the details for the prisoners, we had to go out every morning and escort the detail, the prisoners, to bring their waste down to the sea and empty it in half 55-gallon drums. That's where he put their waste, and they would carry them on a stick and the two guys. And, well, we got to work out of it too, because we had to follow and keep an eye on it, so. And we went through that, and after that, I understand the unit that was there, my unit, went back to Korea, and I got transferred to Japan. I went to Japan in the first cab. They were in Japan after they left Korea, and I spent another month there in Japan, which I enjoyed. I took ski training and went to NCO school, and well, that year went by pretty fast. And I came home and went to Fort Benning and spent another year before I got discharged.
Now, what did you do at Benning that last year?
Academy, we had to train the troops and go out on maneuvers all the time, basic for the reenlisters and not reenlisters, but draftees. And everything went good. We did a lot of training. We went through Mississippi and trained, Alabama, and after, just before I got out, my CO wanted me to enlist again. Of course, they all want you to stay in, try to get me to enlist. I forget what the amount was, it was $1,000 or $10,000 or something like that, but I says, no way. In fact, I was going through my partial plate, and it was only a few days left, and they were supposed to fix my partial plate before I left. Well, every time I went to the dentist, it didn't fit right, and instead of him making me a new plate, he just kept grinding down on my plate, and it came out just as smooth and just as thin as anything. I said, well, too bad. I says, I'm not going to wait any longer. So I took my discharge, took my false teeth, and when I got home, I threw it away. Now, instead of throwing it away, if I kept it, I could have got it replaced. So that's one mistake I did.
Did you make use of the GI Bill at all after you returned?
No, I didn't. No, I was a truck driver before I went in. Worked for a couple companies, and then I got a job driving truck afterwards. And that's what I done most of my life.
Did you join any veterans organizations?
Yes, I joined VFW, the Legion, and later on I joined the ITAM American Club. And
I hope you're going to tell me the Korean War Veterans Group.
yes, oh yes, definitely. Korean War veterans, now how could I forget that? I wasn't thinking of that as a veterans club.
Yes.
Because we associate all the time together. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Now, as far as friends or buddies being in the service, there was only one buddy that I had, and I could never get a contact with him. And see, when you get out of the service back then, you lost contact with everybody, because I wasn't actually in a unit directly like the Navy. They're all on one ship, and we get transferred all the time from one place to another. And I've been transferred quite a few places, and all you do is you meet buddies, and then the next thing you know, you leave and you're attached to another outfit. Mm-hmm. Even in Korea, even though you're in the same company and all and that, they would switch you around.
Okay. Did you ever get to see any USO shows?
No, I didn't see any USO shows, but we saw a show on the ship when we were going over. Mm-hmm. And that's the only one.
Yeah, how do you think your time in the service changed or had an effect on your life?
Well, I really can't say. I don't think there was any. Being that young, I figured it was your job to do, and And time passed away, and I didn't consider anything wrong with being in the service. Did my duty, and it was that. But,
Okay, now you brought in some photographs. I know some of them you've written on. If you could hold it up in front of you and tell us a little bit about it, of what you recall.
well, this, now this one here, I had so many places I was at, and I don't remember where this was taken. I think this was taken in Japan.
Okay.
I was in Japan a year. And this one here was also taken in Japan.
Looks like it might have been the same time.
Yeah, that's mainly when we had a camera. We had a few cameras in Korea, but they didn't last very long.
Okay. Got it.
And this one here was also taken in Korea. I mean, Japan. This is when I was with the 1st Cav Division.
Okay.
Now these look like they must have been in Korea.
Yeah, now these were taken in Korea. This was our bunker we lived in. There was 2 people, sometimes 3 people living in the bunker.
Okay.
The bunkers were, I would say, at least 4 by 6 or 6 by 6. And there was plenty of rats in them, besides us.
Now, what were the bunkers built of? Sandbags?
Yeah,
Looks like they-
sandbags and logs.
And
They
logs.
were all made out of logs and sandbags that covered over and around. And this one here was right beside the bunker that we had to protect that, which was called Sniper's Ridge. For
Okay.
a while we were there.
Now, why was it called that? I mean, it's probably obvious.
Well, as far as I know, we got sniped at a lot.
Mhm.
And that was the main reason why it was called Sniper's Ridge, which is in the Heartbreak area and around the Punch Bowl area too. There's many hills over there, and also the Sniper's Ridge was right in front of the tallest mountain that North Korea held. Was called 1062. That was the highest mountain that faced us. And God, if we ever had to take that hill, I don't think we'd ever stand a chance. And at nighttime, you could see them bringing out their recoilless rifles and firing them at us. And they would move them so many times. They'd be on wheels. They would fire them, a couple of shots, and then they'd move them somewhere else and we'd fire somewhere else because they didn't want to give out their exact position. So.
And this last photograph, it looks like it was from a newspaper.
Yeah, this one here was taken, I think, when I came home on my first leave after basic training.
Okay.
I can't be. It had to be after I came home from leave, yeah. After I came back from Japan, because I put the unit down there where I was stationed at. Serving in
Okay.
Korea.
All right, well, thank you very much for the interview.
Okay.